Yeah, don't wave at me, you dumb fuck. Evening, everyone. It's Nick here, and yeah, I'm in the middle of a pandemic, and I've just finished watching To the Lake, which is about a pandemic. And in the lake, they're kind of a little bit more, I suppose, cautious than these roaming idiots outside here. You see, in the real world, when a pandemic strikes, people are just told to stay at home, and that's what you do. Just not the one into the lake. Now, it looks like into the lake, a deadly virus is spreading. It basically makes you bleed from the eyes, nose, ears, mouth, and probably everything else below the waist as well. And it kills you within 3 or 4 days, so it's not very good. What they don't adequately explain, though, is whether it makes you go insane and want to attack people, because it kind of looks like it does that, but they're not zombies. So, I mean, even outside right now with these idiot chops roaming around, you know, they might have the virus, but they're not trying to break in. They're not trying to get through my door. I mean, if they saw my flat, they would run anyway in the opposite direction. But they're not trying to get in. So the problem with To the Lake is you're not quite sure is a virus. Is it a normal airborne virus? You actually don't even find out whether it is transmitted by spit or by touch. But yeah, people are dying, and so a group of family want to leave Moscow. But is it worth watching? I'd say a little bit of niet, and a little bit of da, and a whole lot of vodka. I'll tell you now. So, To the Lake is about a group of family members who basically try to leave Moscow during a massive viral infection that kills people left, right and center. People basically have between 3 and 4 days before they die, and they die in a horrible, gruesome way. They also kind of go blind, their eyes go grey, and then they vomit blood everywhere, and then basically you know that if that happens in a day or two, you're dead. So this family is a really strange one. So get a pen and paper, it's quite complicated. So number one, we have Sergei. He's a dude. He's got a son. Okay, and he was married to a woman called Irina. Okay, he then got divorced from Irina and married Anna. Anna has a son called Misha, who is autistic. So that's basically the two families, or one family linked by a guy, one ex-wife, one new wife, 2 boys. So then we got Leonia, who has married a pole dancing girl, and she is pregnant. Leonia has a daughter called Polina, who is basically recovering from being an alcoholic, though she's not really recovering because she's drinking all the time, left, right and center. So that's the group of people that we're basically going to be worrying about. Later, a doctor arrives, and he sort of hooks up with Irina, the ex, and we'll get to that in a minute. So anyway, we've got this group of people, and we follow them as they try to get to an island that has this boat on it, okay? I think it was Leonia. It is his boat, I think, and you basically follow them, you know, getting there, and a lot of things happen to them, obviously, as they head there. I think it's like 180 kilometers outside of Moscow. Firstly, Moscow is overrun by marauding criminals, killing people left, right, and center, raping, stealing oil, stealing food. So Moscow's gone to shit, okay, and basically the authorities have closed it down. They don't want people coming in and out, but it kind of looks like the virus has already escaped, and it's too late. So we follow the family as they head there, and there will be a couple of spoilers of this, but don't worry, I'm not going to give you away the ending. Though I will say, when I was watching the ending, I didn't know I was watching the ending. So I didn't realize it was an 8-part, I thought it was 10 parts. And I was sitting there with my glass of wine, and it came to the end of the 8th episode, and I was like, okay, cool, a bit late, I'll watch the next 2 tomorrow. Put it on, and it was like, that was the end. I was like, oh shit. It's so anticlimactic, you're like, was that the end? So don't expect, you know, a nuclear explosion kind of thing in the last episode at all, right? Adjust your expectations. So what are the good things about this? Well, there are a lot of very cliched elements in it. It's not exactly the most recent thing, because, you know, people are kind of fatigued now from the whole pandemic. I'm also fatigued from zombies. We don't know if people are zombies in this, and that's one of the reasons why I got irritated, because they don't explain the virus at all. You're not even sure how it's spread. You have one character who's literally roaming around over dead bodies with blood all over them because they've all been shot by authorities. And she doesn't get sick. No one even worries that she might get sick. They're just like, don't do that, come with us. But everything's fine. Yet the other woman, Anna, the second wife, who's a psychologist, we'll get to in a minute, she gets ill, and you don't even know how the fuck she does. She hasn't been roaming over dead bodies that have virus in them. So anyway, like I say, a lot of tropes in this that you see. You'll see the whole, you know, the bad guys following them, and the bad guys getting scared off and stuff like that. And yeah, like I say, don't expect anything that you haven't seen before. It's very Walking Dead minus the zombies. What I will talk about the good stuff here, the cinematography is really well done. For the most part. There's some beautiful camera shots. There's a shot where they're looking over a bridge that has been blown up, and the camera goes sort of like from a worm eye point of view up through the rubble, and then sort of looks at the characters horizontally on. So some beautiful rig work, or probably drone work, done in this. There was also another really startling scene. I'm just looking at my skin now. Whoa, it was frightening. Where camera sort of drops down the side of a hospital, and a whole bunch of linen has been tied together out of every window. It looks like someone's tied their linen together to make ropes out of the windows to try and get out of the hospital. You don't see it happening, but you can imagine it happening. People like desperately scrambling to get out the windows. And again, it leads me to wonder, what are they desperately scrambling from to get out the window? Are there zombies attacking them in their rooms and that's the way they're getting out? Or is it the authorities getting in there and trying to shoot them, and that's they have time to tie things up to... So you're not quite sure why. It looked good, but it didn't really make sense to me, unfortunately. But that was a really nice scene. They had some nice camera angles where the camera spins around. And I say nice because the first couple of times that you see, like, okay, it's quite cool. It's a nice little trick. Sort of shows people's upside down world. Everything's been flipped around. But after the 7th episode, and they keep pushing it in there, I can't not think of To the Lake now when I see it in other shows. I finished watching Discovery. I'll do a rage video about that later. And they had it in there too. And I was like, oh God, it's like To the Lake. So I got kind of annoyed with that. The camera work was good up until a certain point when they realized it was good, and then they just pushed it through. What I did find quite terrible though is the treatment of a lot of characters in this. I only realized this morning that every single one of the female characters in this is an absolute bastard. At least that's the treatment that they got from the writer. Now I'm not sure how the 2011 book wrote the characters in this, but every single one of them is not a nice person if you think about it. Number one, Irina. This is the first marriage to Sergei. She basically is a controlling mother. She hates everybody. She's constantly looking at them like this, like looking at the new wife of her ex-husband, Anna, and looking at Sergei like she's just a bastard. She's a fucking asshole. So she's not a very likable person. Very pretty, but not a very likable person. Then you have Sergei, is sort of equivalent, and you can't really hate him because he left her for this new woman, Anna, who's also an arsehole because she's a psychologist. Now, you see, Irina and Sergei were going through marriage troubles. He arranges to go to speak to a marriage counselor, and Irina's like, you don't have to go to that. You should be a man. So he goes, not sure why he goes along to the psychologist. Anyway, she decides that she's going to grab him, and Anna decides, so you see him like a couple of weeks later or months, and they're having sex with each other, and she wants to marry him now. Not quite sure why. So she puts like the used condom packet into Sergei's jacket so that his then wife will find, and then they'll get divorced and he marries her. So this manipulation comes up later because Anna loves writing a diary, because that's what psychologists do, and they find the diary and of course they read it. God, we sort of telegraphed miles away. So she's also a bit of an asshole. Then we've got Mariana, or Marina, who's the pole dancing girl, and she gets pregnant and finds out she's pregnant, and then is told by one of her friends, you better go find a sugar daddy. Then she goes and sleeps with one of her clients, one of the guys watching her, and she says it's his. So he marries her. He then finds out later it's not his, and it's like, what the fuck kind of story. So she's another person manipulating the guy into a situation he shouldn't be in, and he's just doing the honourable thing. So very strange. Maybe it's a cultural thing that I'm not getting here. Maybe, I don't know. Just really poor writing for characters, female characters. Odd. Then you've got Polina, who's the daughter of said guy, Leon. I always forget the bloody guy's name. What's it again? Leonya. Polina's stunning. My God, what a beautiful looking woman. Anyway, she's also a bit of a broken thing that manipulates men. She basically plays with the feeling of Misha, Misha being the autistic dude. She's constantly flirting with him and like trying to touch him and stuff, which makes him uncomfortable. But then he starts falling in love with her, and then she's like letting him see her naked and touch her tummy, and then they end up having sex. And I'm like, what's going on there? I don't understand what's happening. And then suddenly she's in love with him, but he's now angry with her. And So yeah, the women in this are not so friendly, not so nice. They just seem to be wanting to take advantage of all the poor guys. Dear Lord, that was exhausting. Sorry. But yeah, that's one of the issues of this. The writing here, they go deep, but they don't really give sort of equal balance to the men. Oh God, and I've just forgotten another woman who's portrayed as being an absolute lunatic. They find this shack, Leonya, and Polina and his wife Mariana. And it's this old lady lives there. So he ends up knocking the old lady out, throwing her into like a cellar, which is not very nice, of course. But the old lady gets out, and she ends up being this complete lunatic who has basically, killed countless men and raped them. She tries to rape Leonya. She ties him to an iron bed, and he's like, I'm not going to get hard for you. And she's like, that's not what the others said, or what happened with the others. And I was just like, oh my God, all the women in this are absolutely evil. And I was like, okay, cool. I was like, all right. I'm getting tired of this now. And the whole love triangle thing, it goes on all the way to the very end. Literally all the way to the end. There's a scene, slight spoilers over here, where Misha sort of runs off. They think he's dead. And instead of, Irina making Anna feel better, she starts losing her shit again at her, saying, how dare you steal my husband? It's like, her kid, she thinks, just died. Maybe back the fuck off. So yeah, some issues in the writing in this, which made it me actually recommend to a friend, don't bother watching it, because he likes watching cranial things. So yeah, if you want something that's just a little bit straightforward, not much deep thinking in this, with lots of flashbacks, some pretty scenery, lots of snow, and loads of vodka being drunk, then this is a show for you. I personally would give it 7 out of 10. I see that on Rotten Tomatoes, it's on 98 or 100%, sorry. So those Russian bots really know what the fuck they're doing. Catch you guys later.